We could do the same thing we did yesterday, where we could either watch summoning salt videos while we grind for the next like 2.5, 3-ish hours, or we can listen to music. It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys, because I got the music muted, so. Videos? Poll? We could do a poll if you want. So far, the only person that's interested in anything is EasyJ saying that they want to watch videos, so I'm down. I'm down to watch some summoning salt. Feel like with the grind, gotta cook? No worries. We'll be doing this until the randomizer race later. So, let's see here. Summoning salt. Let's see. What's a good one? What's going on here? What do you guys want to watch? We do the Castlevania one. It's about an hour long. Let's do Castlevania one.
How do you speedrun one of the hardest games ever made? The original Castlevania has gotten that reputation over the years. Whether it be from its strong enemies and bosses or its strict gameplay mechanics, Castlevania isn't an easy game to take down.
Let's go!
However,
back to the grind.
Or beat it as quickly as humanly possible is on another level. For the past decade and a half, a group of gamers has been working to lower the world record for completing Castlevania. It's been a quest of discovering new strategies, grinding across multiple years, and working together. This is the story of their journey. This is the history of Castlevania World Records.
Shame about the race today. It's fine. It's all figured out. I'm more frustrated about my internet service provider being absolute dog shit and unreliable when my job is to do content on the internet. That's the thing that makes me the most frustrated. If anything I've learned from this hurricane, plus just in general, is I want to move out of Florida so bad. But the only way I'll be able to afford it is by growing my channel and making more money, unfortunately.
So picture this. It's 2003, and you're Tom Vodova, a Nintendo speedrunner who would go on to set world records for some of the most famous games.
Oh.
One of your first projects, however, was going to be Castlevania. How would you pull it off? 6 of the toughest levels on the NES. It takes most people hours to beat this game. Well, that April, Tom Vodova took the whole game down.
I've been looking at places in Tennessee, probably, if I'm going to move anytime soon. I also have friends out in Tennessee, so.
The way to understand how Vodova is able to break the difficulty of this game is by analyzing it, level by level. The first level isn't normal.
Still gets hurricanes sometimes, yeah, but it's not Florida level of hurricanes, you know?
Whip and tearing through the ghosts all over the level.
It's a little different.
In the air rather than on the ground means Simon Belmont slows down less or not at all.
The storm traded me okay. We got very lucky that there was very little damage.
As much as he could. He also picked up the axe sub-weapon before the boss fight, and used them to help him slowly but surely take the bat down. At the start of level 2, he simply jumped over most of the enemies before picking up the Holy Water sub-weapon in stage 6. Each level is broken up into 3 stages, meaning stage 6 was the last stage of level 2. He got beaten up a little bit by the statues, but used the Holy Water to take down the level 2 Medusa head boss easily. Level 3 is where Castlevania is known for making a pretty big jump in difficulty. There's hunchbacks that jump on top of you, skeletons that jump around and throw bones, statues that shoot fireballs at you, and birds that fly around and try to hit you.
This level sucks ass.
Whenever you do get hit, you fly backwards, often towards one of the many ledges that will kill you if you fall off. But luckily, Tom Vodova had the Holy Water. It's pretty well.
Did I get a spot in finals? Yeah, it's in the title of the stream. I'm in grand finals.
Vodova was able to take it to another level.
I guess it's just technically just finals since it's single limb.
See, dropping the Holy Water on an enemy freezes them in place, makes them take damage, and temporarily prevents them from dealing
Yeah, no
damage
worries.
to you. So often, instead of having to whip down the statues, Vadova just dropped holy water on top of them, stopping their shots and letting him walk through. That, combined with careful usage of his whip, allowed him to make it past most of the enemies and beat the dual mummy bosses.
Yeah, we're just chilling until the next tournament race, which is at 8 p.m., so in about 3.5 hours.
Several birds and a skeleton in stage
Figure that's good grind time.
Moving into level 4, Vadova still had his holy water. He expertly rode on the moving platforms, whipped the bats, then moved upstairs where birds came in to drop hunchbacks down. These hunchbacks sometimes randomly dropped axes if killed, so Vadova had to carefully jump over it to not lose his holy water. For the boss fight, Frankenstein and a hunchback, he stun-locked them with several holy water throws thanks to the triple shot upgrade, which allowed 3 holy waters to be on the screen at the same time.
Oh, that's what triple shot
Level
does?
5
I guess
infamous
that makes sense, yeah.
The knights each take 9 hits to
I always
kill,
wondered what
and
those
the
Roman
axes
numerals
they
did.
have to whip,
I'm so
duck
bad at
under, or
Castlevania
jump
1.
over. On top of that,
I've only ever
there's
beat it
hunchbacks
once.
everywhere, Medusa heads that float around, more statues,
Dude, fuck that
and
room.
the Grim Reaper boss at the end.
Fuck
And
that whole
all of them
level.
were no match for Vadova's holy water.
The streamer eating properly today. I do intermittent fasting, so it's not breakfast time for me yet.
Of course, there was still
But it's
a ton of
close.
skill involved in what Vadova was
I'll
doing.
probably get a snack in like
Many
an
of the
hour.
enemies' patterns were still sporadic, and had to be whipped or avoided appropriately. He had to be on his game at all times throughout level 5, and he made it through quite cleanly. Level 6, the final level, featured Vadova temporarily abandoning the holy water to pick up the stopwatch,
Oh,
which
yeah.
froze all enemies when activated.
Dude, stopwatch is so
This was
important for
used
this
against the
level.
hunchbacks to stop them from jumping all
At
over
least
the place.
casually.
Then, it was on to the final boss fight, which has 2 forms, Dracula and the beautifully named...
Are we streaming every day
boss.
for a month now?
Dracula teleports after attempting to hit you.
I could do that
and
in
each time
October.
he
That's
teleports,
possible.
It's referred to as a cycle. Every time
It's actually not a bad
Dracula
idea. Maybe I should try it
Vadova
out.
tried to hit him a couple times. with
Stream
his
every
whip.
day.
It was pretty slow, and since it took 11 appearances by Dracula to kill him, or 10 teleports, it was an 11 cycle Dracula fight. Then,
What's the hardest game I've ever played so far? I don't even know. Circle of the Moon can be difficult, but I don't know. We'll see. I can't think of anything that's like so insanely tough. I mean, I played CV1 and that was like really frustratingly hard. I never finished Bloodlines. I thought Castlevania Bloodlines was really, really hard, but like the not fun kind of hard. So, I don't know.
to fight the Cookie Monster, Vadova used the holy water that he had re-picked up from the leftmost candle. He stunned him in place and used his whip to hit the
I was
Cookie
playing as
Monster's
Eric.
head, over and over until he was killed. This process took a while, but once he
I
was
just think the
dead,
level design is
final
bad,
level
and I think that
and
the
Tom Donovan finished
limited
Castlevania
continues is
in
really bad as well.
14 minutes
Just
and
bad game
25
design,
seconds.
but maybe I'm stupid.
It was a nice run, with some pretty sick usage of holy water to blow through otherwise tough enemies, and he didn't die a single time. However, there were notable slowdowns, especially when he stood still to whip enemies and had some slow boss fights. It was good, but could have been better. His run was the first of 4 runs that I consider to be in the early age of Castlevania speedrunning.
Early age. If I ever try it again, which I
The
doubt I'll
second
ever
of
try it
those
again,
4
maybe I'll
runs
try the
was
JP
completed
version.
2.5 years later, by Retro 2D Gamer.
Retro
The biggest
2D
improvement
Gamer.
about his run was the usage of boosting. In Castlevania, when you get hit by an enemy, you get knocked back quite a bit. This can be used strategically to reach certain areas faster. For example, in level 1, you're normally supposed to take the stairs down, go to the basement, and come up on the other side of the wall.
The
But
bat
Retro 2D
boost.
Gamer simply did this instead.
Bum, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum.
Known as the Bat Boost, this trick saved about 7 seconds.
When is he going to do his own episode? I'm waiting,
And
bro.
as Retro would show off, boosting could be used
I'm
all
waiting.
over Castlevania.
Hopefully if he does, that one doesn't get age restricted. I don't know.
Boosting wasn't allowed under Twin Galaxies rules, which is where Tom Vodova submitted his run, but since Retro 2D Gamer submitted his elsewhere, he was free to do them. These boosts added together saved around 30 seconds.
What do I think of post-Soten Metroidvanias in general? Metroidvanias, in my opinion, in the modern era, take a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls, and by doing so, they have morphed into a genre that is very, very different compared to if you look at Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid. A lot of games don't emphasize movement as much as they emphasize combat. They don't emphasize exploration as much as they emphasize like lore or like environmental storytelling. Basically, they tried to make the game so much more like Dark Souls than anything else that the genre is kind of barren of games that I'm familiar with, games that are more similar to Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night, where the games are much more about being rewarded for exploration, having movement options that become more and more robust as you play through the game. Like, Blasphemous is a game that, like, everyone calls, like, a really great Metroidvania. It's like, you don't upgrade your character's movement set until, like, 15 hours into the game. You finally get, like, the climb ability or some shit like that. So it's like, it feels to me that Dark Souls has taken over the genre as a whole. The Messenger? I haven't played The Messenger, but from my understanding, The Messenger is not even a Metroidvania for half of it. Half of it, it's just Ninja Gaiden 2. And then, like, the other half is a Metroidvania, kind of. But Time Spinners? I haven't played Time Spinners, no. Time Spinners is obviously inspired by Order of Ecclesia, though. Yeah. There's a lot of Metroidvanias I've also missed out on. I plan on playing a lot of Metroidvanias, especially all the ones I've missed out on, over the course of the next couple of months. Probably at the end of October, we'll do it. Because I have my tournament. Once I finish my tournament, which I'm going to be doing a lot of in October, we'll be doing like Metroidvanias every like stream or so. Strider 2016, no, but I own the game. I own a lot of these Metroidvanias. I just haven't played them. It's like a bunch of games sitting in my Steam library that I still need to play. You know how it is, gamers, when you have a million games in your Steam library and then you just never just get around to playing them. My issue is I just play Soten every day. So once I branch out and start playing more games other than Soten, we'll have a much more deeper catalog of Metroidvanias under our belt for stream. So,
other than that, he saved time from even more abuse of the holy water. Enemies that normally stood in his way were demolished with the holy water, including many of the boss fights. It was clear.
My wife heard that and stared at me.
He didn't get hit as much, and he slowed down less overall.
Glances at the 4 games I play monthly for 2 decades.
It
Oops.
was enough to beat him by over a minute.
Tell me about
1308.
it. 1308 is a crazy time. This was in like 2005 or something? That's crazy.
Close to 5 years, in fact. It's very rare that world records stand for that long. Although in the early 2000s when speedrunning wasn't as big, it certainly was more common.
Yeah.
But in 2010, a guy named Bablo beat it a few times.
Let's go Bablo.
His final time being 12:21, the third record of the early age. His run was a cleaner, more refined version
2010, they're already sub 13.
In level 1, for example, he had a faster bat boost by having the bat spawn from the right, instead of walking with it all the way from the left. In level 3, he did more boosts at the start, and made his way through stage 8 by abusing holy water more. In levels 4 and 5, he was more efficient than Retro by not stopping to attack as much, but rather using the holy water or jumping and whipping. And in level 6, he saved a lot of time from hanging onto the cross-sub weapon and attacking Dracula.
Dude, I have like 100+ games in my Steam library that I've never played.
Let it go to pick up holy water. But Bablo was able to throw it to the right.
It just happens.
And catch it when it came back to the middle. As long as it didn't go to the left, it wouldn't hit the candle to spawn the holy water. So when Dracula respawned on the right, Bablo hit him again with the cross for more damage.
What attack power are we at? 407. Okay.
Retro into an 8-cycle fight for Bablo. Bablo's run stood throughout 2010, and then in 2011,
no worries, Smith.
Speedrunner FunkDoc set the 4th and final.
Yo, let's go FunkDoc.
A 1206. It would garner
1206. That's poggers. I don't know. I'm just saying shit at this point, guys.
FunkDoc's run really was a technical marvel. His method of beating Bablo was through very inconspicuous, yet crucially important
I'll get a computer that can run this someday.
Like here,
bro, that was me playing Elden Ring.
Funkadok knew the bat's pattern was determined.
And then I got a
by the
3080 just to play Elden Ring.
He wanted the bat to swoop down in a specific way so that he could be pelted with axes quickly. The position for that pattern happened to be right around here. So, Funkadok intentionally stood still and avoided picking up the double shot upgrade until after the bat started moving and his pattern was set. The level 3 boss had another technical trick. When two hitboxes overlap,
I am a toddler, I am entertained.
A strange glitch occurs. If a sub-weapon hits the overlapping part, it'll deal 1 damage per each frame it comes in contact.
Oh.
Given that Castlevania runs at 60 frames per second, that's a lot of damage very quickly. The two mummies in the level 3 boss fight each have their own hitboxes, so a guy known as Retro2084 figured out that if you use the cross sub-weapon when the mummies overlap each other, they can be beaten really quickly.
Dude,
Funkadok,
every Castlevania game has some weird damage stack glitch. Like, since the first one. How does this keep happening? How do they keep adding damage stack glitches? I don't get it.
used that to his advantage. But the best of all had to be what he did in level 4. The cave skip, once again discovered by RetroGaming2084. Funkadok picked up the time stop
60 frames, that's a lot of frames.
Then used it a few
Intended
seconds later.
programming.
When bats spawn, they do so based upon your vertical positioning. So when the time stop ran out, it was time for the bat to spawn, and Funkadok had gotten to the appropriate height in time. Then, he froze time again to freeze the bat's horizontal position.
Oh
So
shit.
he could do this.
This shit's wild. Boom. Yo, he's out of bounds. He's cheating. This is old cheating ass.
By doing this boost, Funkadok didn't have to wait and ride on the slow-moving platforms below, saving him a few seconds. He continued to abuse Holy Water in level 5, then was able to match Babla's 8-cycle fight on Dracula, before taking the Cookie Monster down with Holy Water.
The Cookie Monster.
So
You
that's
could just
when
say
the Record
Dracula,
started
bro.
in 2011.
Phase 2
Funkadok's
Drac. You don't have to call him
1206.
Cookie
He
Monster.
was considered the top Castlevania runner, and as the months and years passed on, his record still stood. It was a very clean run, set by an extremely talented runner. Over the next couple of years, he would run the game at many of the Games Done Quick marathons, including one of the coolest runs.
When you started speedrunning Soten, was the route and skips already established? Yes. I made an entire video discussing my total journey speedrunning Symphony of the Night from my first run all the way to the most recent world record. It was the same route. The only main difference is they added we've just discovered optimizations in different rooms and different glitches that do the same thing but slightly faster, but the overall route is the same. Yeah. It's probably the dumbest boss nickname I've ever heard. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. It's pretty dumb. Call-in live. Welcome, Overdark.
Runs of all time.
We're grinding Muramasa levels. We're at 408 total damage out of 999.
But eventually, by
Bro,
2015,
AGDQ 2012?
Funkadok was no longer
Sheesh.
alone on top. Someone was streaming attempts on Twitch.tv to beat his long-lasting 1206. Meet K-Mac. In late 2013, K-Mac began pushing his Castlevania personal best close to the world record.
What did I miss? We've been playing for 10 hours in game time to get this 408 Muramasa. That's about it. We did a randomizer race earlier for the tournament, and we're sitting in grand finals. And we're waiting for a race tonight to determine who I'm facing. So it's either going to be Fire or Jupiter. Those are the two that are playing on the other side of the finals. So whoever wins that match, it's currently 1-1 in their set. So whoever wins the next race is the person that I face in grand finals.
He got good at the same tricks.
Oh, we're still grinding. This takes 100 hours, Jester, and we're only 10 hours in.
His time went from a 12:45 down to a 12:26, then to a 12:10, just 4 seconds behind Funkadok's world record. Had it not been for a slow level 3, particularly the boss fight, K-Mac would have gotten it.
Yep. I love it, but I feel for you. This was a sub goal. I did it to myself. Speaking of sub goals, today is the last day for discounted subs on Twitch. So if you're feeling generous and you want to help us hit the sub goal where I do a wolf-only damage run, we're only 31 subs away.
So, heading into the last level, he was
Gonna grind Warframe? Okay. Good luck, have fun.
But K-Mac had a trick up his sleeve in level 6 to make a last-second comeback. Castlevania has a pretty obscure trick called the critical hit.
The critical
If you
hit.
hit an enemy with the whip on the same exact frame the enemy hits you, you deal an additional 5 damage to the enemy for a total of 6 damage. The most relevant place this can be used is on boss fights, particularly the Dracula fight at the very end. Dracula shoots projectiles whenever he respawns, so K-Mac had to jump and get hit by one of them on the same 60th of a second he hit Dracula. If he could do that, he would have a shot at the record.
Bam, bam. Bam, bam.
Mission accomplished.
Nice.
In just one cycle, more than half of Dracula's health bar was taken down. The fight would end up being a 5-cycle fight.
Overdark.
Was it
You
going to be fast
steal
enough to
men's
beat Funkdog?
souls and make them your slaves.
Thank you for subbing at tier 1. And now we're only 30 subs away from the sub goal. Let's go, gamers. I greatly, greatly appreciate all the support we've gotten. I haven't streamed like a ton this month. My goal, honestly, I'm going to unofficial but officially announce that I think for the month of October, I'm going to do a daily stream every single day for October.
A tied world record.
Even if it's only for like
It
2 or
couldn't
3
have been
hours a day.
Great feeling to have come so far yet still not be
Just to make up for the fact that like I missed
you
out
can
on a
do
lot
is
of
keep
streaming
trying.
in September because of all the
And
trips and
very
stuff.
Next day,
Am I trying to learn CV1 too? I've been wanting to do some classic CV. Sorry if this is asked 100 times. No, I could learn it. I think learning CV1 would be like a fun 12-hour challenge kind of thing. So, can you jump into an enemy and produce a crit like that? Like in this game? No. But yeah. Doing Inktober this year. Can't wait to get started. Nice.
he had another shot. The first 9 minutes of this run are lost, but we do know he was about 4 seconds behind the tied record he had set the day before going into the last level. He did have time to make up though. In yesterday's run, he didn't have enough hearts, which are currency for the holy water, to optimally beat the Cookie Monster. But this time, he did. He just had to land the crit on Dracula.
I've not seen CV2 world record. I've never even played CV2.
There we go. All right.
Woo! Nice. 1206.
Another 1206 from.
For the second time in 1 week, he had tied Funkdog's record. The only thing worse than that would be if he tied it 3 times in a week.
No. You wouldn't.
Another tie of the world record again.
God
Yeah,
damn
that's
it.
exactly what happened. Between October 20th and October 28th, 2013, K-Mac tied
God,
the world record
2013.
3 times.
That was
But
before I even
finally,
started running
later in
Zone.
October, K-Mac had another run. Although he lost time from the level 1 boss fight, he gained it right back in level 2 and more in level 4, since his last 1206 had failed level 4's cave
Thank
skip.
you, Alucard.
He got the crit on Dracula and closed out the run.
There it is.
Finally, K-Mac had his world record. But he wasn't done quite yet. The 1203 had some notable slowdowns. He messed up throwing axes on the first boss fight, got hit by a statue in level 3, and had to turn around to pick up a heart in level 5 after he didn't have enough holy water ammo. So there was still some time on the table. His goal was to take the run under 12 minutes.
Attention,
And a
CV2
few days
gamers.
later, that's what he did. He had a better level 1 boss fight, avoided getting hit in level 3, had a cleaner level 5, and although his final boss fights weren't perfect, it was enough to get the sub 12.
Question. If I did a Patreon monthly like game recommendation where I play through a game that patrons recommend to me, do you think that's a good idea? Like, unironically, you're saying attention CV2 gamers, but I could run a poll for like people to vote on a few games, and then I play it every month, and it's just like whatever the patrons decide. Because I want to do more patron rewards right now, but as of right now, I'm kind of like stuck as to what to reward people with. We're gonna do the watch party, which will be Patreon and sub only on Discord, of the CV anime. In a couple days, we're gonna do it. Do it to play Ritual of the Night. I mean, sure, whatever. Probably good for content, yeah. Plus, it's a good shout out to the Patreon for people that are interested. We'll see. Especially after September, I'm gonna stop shilling subs as much, and I'll go back to shilling Patreon support, since Patreon support is like 90% more effective. It's like way more effective. Coffee mugs, everybody hates them. Wait, what? But yeah, have I perfected the muramasa grind? We're doing pretty okay. Yeah, why not both? I just don't want to have them both on screen. I like having the Patreon rewards on screen or Patreon goals on screen. Whereas trying to have sub goals and Patreon goals is kind of a lot. Obviously, people, whatever they're more comfortable doing, like some people might not make it to Twitch and don't want to sub. The only issue is that Twitch subs, half of the money goes to Twitch and half of it goes to me. So if you're subbing to me, only half of that money goes to me. Where if you sub on Patreon, 95% of the money goes to me and only 5% goes to Patreon. So Patreon is like way, way, way better split-wise, which is why I want people to try and do Patreon more often. Because if you're going to spend the money anyways, I would rather more of it go to me, since, like, what the fuck is Twitch doing for me, really? What have they done to earn 50% of my revenue? Like, I don't think they've done that much, personally. I think all viewer bases, to a certain extent, are okay with torturing their streamer because it's fun for them, but yeah. But yeah, as of right now, we're at 410 total attack out of 999. So we're getting there. If you could gift Patreon subs, that would be huge, yeah.
Just 15 days.
The thing is, you can do custom amounts, so if you want more money to go to me anyways, you can just subscribe on Patreon for a custom amount instead of just like the minimum amount, but whatever. They charge you taxes and fees. Patreon? Yeah, but not nearly as much. Oh, you're talking about Twitch? Yeah, Twitch is 50% plus taxes and fees, yeah. So half of it goes to me, and then it's also I'm getting taxed on that half, yeah. You can give Patreon via PayPal. Can you? You could also just donate directly through PayPal. That's also like another really good option. Because if you donate over $5, I get like 85% of the money, so that's a pretty decent deal.
Days after his first sub 12, he was back at it, on a run into the last level of the game. Problem was, he was more than 3 seconds behind the record, but he still had one last chance at getting it, getting the double crit on Dracula.
Double crit?
See, the 1157 featured a 5-cycle fight with 1 critical hit. K-Mac could instead do 2 crits on Dracula instead of 1.
Just do all the crits.
Damage with just 2 hits, getting a 3-cycle fight and saving between 5 and 10 seconds. Of course, getting the double crit was incredibly difficult. He had to line up a hit on Dracula and get a hit on himself on the same 60th of a second, twice in a row.
That's like asking Santa.
I just don't like giving Twitch money. That's very, very fair.
But it was his only shot to get the record.
That's why Patreon is an option. Twitch, honestly, is... I don't know.
Come on, let's get it.
One of my streamers is trying YouTube streaming today. I'm thinking about doing some YouTube streams, like once or twice a week or something, or once or twice a month. I don't know. Just to try it out. Especially if I'm doing like speedrun attempts or doing this.
And
This is
still,
actually like good
K-Mac
YouTube
wasn't
stream
done.
content, I feel like,
There was
just
still
chill
time to
grinding.
save, particularly on the boss fights. The bosses
Muramasa
all
grind
need
YouTube
different
playlist.
patterns
Yeah, it'll
and a
happen.
number of seemingly
I want to
random
upload all of the
patterns.
grind to
The
YouTube
speed
at some
which
point.
the mummies overlapped, the speed at which the bat swooped down, these speeds varied from run to run. With the faster the pattern, the better. It was also possible
Just so I have
to get a
video
critical
record of
kill
like
on
all of
bat level
the
one.
the grind.
When the bat swooped down, K-Mac stood on the stairs and used his whip. Just like on Dracula, if
Can you stream on both? Not at the same time, no. That is an issue because I'm a partnered streamer. Otherwise, I would. Yeah, the current meta, a lot of people are streaming on YouTube like 1 day a week. Yeah.
he got hit on the same frame as whip hit the bat, it would deal 5 damage to the bat. However, all damage to the bat is doubled, and being on stairs increases damage here as well.
Why does being on
It ends up
stairs
being
increase
enough to
damage?
Kill the bat with just 1 whip.
What the fuck?
So, with these boss fight improvements in mind, K-Mac kept doing attempts through the end of 2013. He was in a class of his own for Castlevania. It was time to see how low he could take it.
You have the traction to stream YouTube streaming according to information vids I've been watching. YouTube streaming is a good idea, and having like multiple outlets for streaming is definitely a good idea, but you know, probably hitbox stacking because of the stairs, maybe. You're telling me a Castlevania game isn't programmed well? Yo, dude, he grinding that time down. I love a good world record grind. Getting the time down slowly but surely over time. Oh, it's so great. That's what speedrunning all about, baby.
1148 was K-Mac's final time. It had the bat crit, the boosts, and a double crit on Dracula at the very end.
Is there an easy way to communicate a switch to YouTube so you don't lose viewers? Not really, no. Twitch has like terrible options for like communicating to your audience outside of going live and hoping that everybody watches your stream. That's like all you got, dude. It's honestly pretty rough. All right, just answering a message real quick.
He was on top of the Castlevania speedrunning scene. And
it's not the stairs that do the damage directly, it's just the crit is easier. Makes sense.
All of 2014 and well into 2015, K-Mac's 1148 was the world record. But then, a year and a half after he originally got the record, another player began to challenge his time. Double Armory. And in April 2015, it finally happened. How was he able to knock K-Mac off the top? It wasn't anything too major, but once again, small optimizations. He used mostly the same strategies as K-Mac, but his boss fights were a little better overall. In level 1, for instance, he got the bat to swoop faster than it did for K-Mac, allowing the critical hit to be done sooner. And
he even explains it's a crit, yeah.
Level 2, Double Armory used the holy water instead of the cross, making for a slightly faster kill. Of course, this meant he didn't have the cross for the mummies in level 3, so he had to use the holy water to pick up the axe, then use the axe to pick up the cross from this candle.
Yo, big brain.
It was some careful but very well done routing, and it was enough to beat the
sub-weapon routing is so cool.
Well, K-Mac wouldn't stand for that. So, he responded by setting 3 world records in the same week, lowering the record down by 5 seconds. He had held the world record for a year and a half. His response to losing it for 4 days was to do that.
Sheesh. What a gamer. I love it when world record holders just
do it.
Flex on them like that.
It stemmed from 2 main improvements. The first was the Dracula fight. K-Mac began going for a new 3-cycle Dracula fight that only used 1 critical hit instead of 2. He intentionally lost 0 frames leading up to Dracula by only whipping candles while Simon was moving up. Whipping them on the way down means the whip animation may need to complete before the screen can move again, losing a few frames. Arriving at Dracula at the same frame every time guarantees you'll respawn on the left, so you can be pulted with the cross more consistently. By using the cross more, only 1 critical hit on Dracula was necessary, and it made the fight more consistent overall. The other big improvement was in level 1. Enemies in Castlevania seem to sometimes randomly drop items. They can be stuff like sub-weapons, the holy water or the axe, or potions that make you invincible.
Yup.
The thing is, these drops aren't actually random.
What?
Every 16 frames, there's 1 frame where if you kill an enemy, it'll drop an item. What that item is determined by this chart. The first item drop you get will be from the first column, with the item itself determined by the level you're in. If you get your first item drop in level 4, for example, it'll be a potion. Then, the second item drop you get will be from column 2.
Is somebody writing this down? It's going to be on the test
and
later.
So on, with the column position carrying over from level to level. The first item you can get in level 1 is a stopwatch.
Everybody knows about the stopwatch.
A guy named Vandal discovered. So, he figured out approximately when he needed to whip the ghost to land on the specific frame he needed to get the stopwatch.
I wouldn't call that a
He had a
ghost.
60th of a second window to aim for, but since it looped every 16 frames and there were a few ghosts he could try it on, he at least had a chance at it. After hopefully getting the stopwatch, he would move into the next screen and try to use it on the very first frame possible after entering. If done correctly, it would freeze time before the bat spawned, allowing time for him to walk all the way over to the right. Once he got there, the bat would unfreeze right away, and he would be able to do the bat boost much quicker.
Oh.
You can see from this comparison that it cuts out the time he normally had to spend waiting for the bat to spawn again. In all, it saves about 4 seconds.
That's pretty big.
So now, in order to get an optimal level 1, you had to land a frame-perfect whip to get the stopwatch.
2 frame-perfect
use the stopwatch
inputs.
frame perfectly to get an optimal bat spawn.
Oof.
And land a frame-perfect critical hit on the bat boss.
Oof.
Each of those had a 60th of a second window to time them.
Stage 1 looking kind of
Getting all
rough.
That was super difficult.
So stage
Because of
1
all these
reset
tricks,
hell is what I'm
level 1 got the
hearing here.
reputation of being like a jail,
Yep.
since very few runs were able to escape it. Regardless, it took K-Mac just 4 days to be able to beat Double
Oof.
Armory's record with the level 1 tricks.
Barely beat it.
It was a close call though, because he lost a lot of time in the Dracula fight from missing critical hits and getting a 4-cycle fight. K-Mac would lower it to an 1141 pretty quickly, with a run that actually didn't feature the stopwatch trick in level 1, but had essentially everything else. A fast bat pattern, a fast mummy pattern, cave skip, the boosts, and the new 1 crit 3-cycle Dracula fight. That 1141 was enough to satisfy him.
I've
for a
never
while.
played a Silent Hill
He
game,
was
so I don't
back
know
on
much about
top,
speedrunning
and
Silent
he was on
Hill.
top by a large margin.
I've seen like
Months passed,
Punchy
and
run
when
Silent Hill a couple of
2016
times,
came
but
around,
that's about
K-Mac's
it.
1141 was still the world record. But in October
Usually like
2016,
GDQ runs or something
someone
like
did
that.
beat him. Baze86. He took down the video for his record a while ago, and it can no longer be seen today. The final time was
Nice.
reportedly in 1139, a 2-second improvement over K-Mac, but not much is known about the run itself today. But we do know that this time, K-Mac waited exactly 20 days before getting the record back. It's almost like he wasn't allowed to not have the world record.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a game that you're proficient at and you can get world record, I understand constantly grinding to make sure
way
you're the
he
one
saved
on
time
top.
This time was by skipping picking up the meat in level 6.
No meat?
Runners
Meatless?
normally turned around here to pick up the pork chop hidden in the wall, which replenishes your health. But since K-Mac was only planning to do 1 crit against Dracula instead of 2, he didn't need the extra health to get hit a second time.
Fellas, you ever go meatless?
So he saved a few seconds by not having to bother turning around to pick it up. And again, K-Mac's record remained on top for several months. But just as before, another runner eventually beat him, Janpei. In April 2017, he was able to get a run past the level 1 jail with the stopwatch trick, and was 3.5 seconds ahead of the record.
How often have I had to reestablish record? Over the years that I've been speedrunning Soten, a couple of times. There have been moments where I didn't have record after getting it, especially with like when I was newer to getting world record runs in Symphony of the Night. Most recently, it was actually glitchless. Jupiter Climb got the glitchless record for a day, and on the same day, I got it back because I was doing runs at the time. But yeah. I don't know. It's a couple of times.
Time in level 3 to a slower mummy fight, but was still about a second.
Who
and a half ahead of
were
K-Mac going into the
interim
last
champ?
level.
Wait.
He nailed the crit on Dracula.
Are you talking
in
about
3 seconds.
the randomizer run? I don't know what you're asking. How to open doors? Yeah, that sounds like Silent Hill speedrunning to me.
Fight and prepared to fight the Cookie Monster.
Who people who have taken world record from me, Rom Scout, Ben Otten, Talik Zealot, Jupiter Climb, and Mateko. I think those are the only 5 people that have held a world record in Soten, other than me after I get a world record. Has anybody else ever taken a world record from me? At least in the main categories. I don't know about some of the more arbitrary categories. I usually don't really follow them very much after I get a run that I'm happy with. I think that's everybody. You'll take the record one day? You could try. Go for it.
He
I don't mind.
messed up a couple of his holy water throws and didn't grab the orb until it fell.
Oof.
After retiming it, It was determined that he had beaten K-Mac by about a 20th of a second.
Sheesh.
Once again, K-Mac had been dethroned. But of course, 3 weeks later...
Took the sexy record but never
would be
gave it
his
back,
once more.
damn. R.I.P.
Only
me.
this time, it wasn't even close.
Rest in pussy. Sheesh. The clap back. The Mechanical Koopa, who's that? Never heard that name before.
K-Mac beat Jonte's run by 5 seconds. Rather than one big improvement, it was because of several small improvements over the course of the run.
That's usually how it
K-Mac
goes.
got a slightly faster bat swoop than Jonte by manipulating its pattern by standing in specific locations on the stairs. In level 2, he hung onto the stopwatch from level 1 in order to freeze time at the start of stage 6. This
Oh.
prevented the spikes from moving so he didn't have to hesitate like Jonte did. He got a fast bone boost in level 5. These skeletons can give either a fast or a slow boost pattern, with about half a second time difference between them.
Remember telling people about
Jonte
Realm
got the
Sponge
slow
and
pattern,
not being
while
impressed.
K-Mac
I mean,
got the fast
if
one.
people aren't interested, they don't
And
care.
of course,
It's fine.
no run is complete without the Dracula fight at the end, which K-Mac was able to get a 3-cycle on. His Cookie Monster fight wasn't perfect, but it didn't really have to be at the end of a run that far ahead of the record. Castlevania was getting to the point now where improvements were going to be extremely tough to come by. As the run approached the sub 1130 barrier, players could no longer expect to beat the record by 5 seconds. An improvement by a fraction of a second would be a big deal.
Yep.
K-Mac decided to retire from Castlevania speedrunning after his 1132,
Damn.
and left the game in the hands of others to take the record down further. The first step, of course, was beating his 1132. For that, we arrive at Furious Paul. He's
Is he
best known
furious?
for running Super Castlevania 4, but in 2017 he decided to try the original Castlevania 2. On September 30th, 2017, he was streaming on Twitch.tv.
Dot
with his personal
TV?
best just 2 seconds behind the record. He was about to stop streaming for the day, but decided to do one more run just because. Fast forward 11 and a half minutes
What's up, Nas?
later, and this was the result.
What just happened?
Did he tie it?
What just happened?
Or was it a small improvement?
The final time was 11:32.7, about a tenth of a second ahead of K-Mac's record.
Oh, nice.
Furious Paul had gotten really good at getting out of the level 1 jail, and he also changed up
Has a task been done on Soten for theoretical lowest time? Yes, but tasks in Soten are incredibly different compared to like RTA routing. Like normal humans can't play the game the same way tool assisted speedruns can play. So they're not very comparable a lot of the time. But you can just Google Soten tool assisted speedrun and you'll find all sorts of tool assisted speedruns for Soten.
up a few strategies to give himself better odds at it. He whipped more ghosts overall, giving him better odds in picking up the stopwatch. He also used the whip, then jumped after using the stopwatch to force the bat to spawn higher, making the boost quite a bit easier. Of course, he still had 3 different 60th of a second tricks to time throughout the level, but these improvements helped a bit. He gained time in level 3 from an extremely fast mummy pattern, but missed a jump and did a safer version of the cave skip in level 4. A guy known as Brannigan discovered that by doing these whips at the start of the level, it sets up the timing perfectly so that you have a visual cue for when to freeze time with the stopwatch. When the merman's feet are either on this pixel or this pixel, time can be frozen and the cave skip will work.
Okay.
It was also possible now to pause and unpause if you miss the visual cue, since the bat's spawn position is partially based upon when you arrive. Beyond that, Furious Paul had a cleaner Cookie Monster fight, and it was enough to just edge out K-Mac for a new world record. Shortly after Furious Paul's run, a pretty big new discovery began to be utilized. For years now, players have been trying for a 3-cycle Dracula at the end of the run. But it turns out,
2
it
cycle?
can be better. This is the 2-cycle Dracula.
Yo. I love this song.
A guy known as TrueFalse first found a 2-cycle setup in March 2016, but it went under the radar until about October 2017. The first cycle consists of jumping to throw across, and then whipping twice, which deals a total of 5 damage. For the second cycle, you have to hope that Dracula spawns close to you, which has a 50% chance of happening.
Oh no.
If he doesn't, a 2-cycle fight can't happen.
It's
The
RNG.
execution for the second cycle, assuming you get the spawn, is really precise. Jumping forward and throwing across, landing on the double shot to pick it up, then jumping backward while facing forward and throwing another cross. Upon landing there, you jump up and throw yet another cross, land, then